Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Weight Neutral Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Devin Dirksen, and I'm super excited that you are joining me today. I have a very awesome guest with me. Her name is Victoria, and we're going to be talking about eating disorder recovery a little bit. We're going to be talking about weight and food freedom, body acceptance, body confidence, and all things self-love. If you are just tuning in for the first time on YouTube, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. I'd love for you to keep following along with these episodes. Gonna have lots of guest shows coming up for you in 2023. So yeah, let's just dive into the interview today. Welcome to the show, Victoria.
Hi, Devin. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, super excited to chat with you today. It's always exciting to have guests from outside of North America. I always love getting to perspectives from other parts of the world. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, about how you came to this journey and what you help people with.
Absolutely. So I'm British. My name is Victoria, as you've so beautifully introduced me. And my title is a food freedom and body love coach. The reason I am a food freedom and body love coach is because I've been on my own journey. It's been a heck of a journey, and I will keep this story short. And then, of course, you can ask me as many questions as you like around that. When I was 9 years old, I started dieting, and that morphed into anorexia when I was around 13 years old. I was struggling with anorexia until I was about 18 years old. And then I was physically recovered, aka weight restored. And then I kind of fell into an abusive relationship for 6 years. During that time, I developed binge eating disorder. And then after that, I left the relationship, found the gym, became obsessed with that, and then developed bulimia. And so when I was 30, which is 5 years ago now, I started my own healing journey. And it started with personal development, and then it fell into spirituality. And now I help women heal from disordered eating disorders. So whether that be anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, abuse, self-love, self-worth, it's all kind of wrapped in together. And so I absolutely love what I do. And I coach. I'm certified in psychology, coaching, and nutrition. But honestly, I coach primarily from personal experience because I get it and I've been there. And so that's my very long story, very short. And that's what I do.
Yeah, totally. That sounds great. Well, I mean, maybe not great, but it's nice that you can help people now. And thank you for sharing that with us because I know obviously that's a lot of tough stuff and you've condensed it down to a 2-minute talking bit. Yeah. So first of all, I had seen in your question sheet that you shared with me, that you're specifically not an intuitive eating coach. Do you want to share with us why that is? Because, sorry, this is a little bit of an aside, but as an aside, I've just been kind of grappling myself with the idea of am I teaching a primarily intuitive eating? Am I not? Am I going in a different direction? So I just love to hear your opinion on that while I have you here. Maybe
Yeah,
putting you on the
absolutely.
spot a bit.
Oh no, I love being on the spot. It's what I do. It's what I live for. So I'm not an intuitive eating coach because from personal experience and seeing that of my clients' experience, because dieting isn't an action, it's a state of mind, just meaning you could eat salads, smoothies, green drinks and not be dieting. You could also eat tubs of Ben and Jerry's and chocolate and not be binging. It's all about what's going on in your mind and how you perceive it and what feelings you have around the food you're eating. And so the reason I say that is because when dieters transition from dieting, or those with disordered eating or eating disorders, and I would like to go into a little bit of the difference between anorexia recovery is, of course, I would not advise anorexias to eat intuitively because that doesn't work, whereas binge eating it does, and bulimia it does too. And so anyone with a chronic dieting history turns intuitive eating into another diet called the hunger and fullness diet. And so anytime you eat past fullness, because the guidelines, I know they're not rules, and again, it's our mindset, a chronic dieter's mindset likes rules, likes a line, likes this is good, this is bad, likes kind of hard and soft rules in place to feel safe and to feel in control. So the guidelines of intuitive eating, as you know, one of them is only eat when you're physically hungry and stop when you're full. But what
Mhm.
about when someone makes freshly made brownies and brings them in and you just had your lunch and you're not hungry? What if you want to just taste the pleasure of that and enjoy the moment, the social occasion with others? What if you're eating a bowl of pasta? Perhaps you're talking, or perhaps you just want to finish your plate because it tastes so good. And then what if you're over full? I
Mhm.
used to do those things and then think, oh, well, I've messed intuitive eating up. I'll start again tomorrow. And actually put a lot of weight on during that time because I turned that into a diet and I was eating more food in general, binging and then kind of following on. And so I teach more food freedom, which I like to call intuition eating. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't. So it's which can be very scary because there's no rules.
Mhm.
And so I guide my clients through that, and we can set a structure up to help in terms of meals if everyone's different. But food freedom is simply, if you want it, have it. And I know that sounds like so outrageous, but it works for me and it works for my clients in the way I teach it.
Yeah, totally. And I like that you said that because I think that that is absolutely the case. And I feel like as I work with more clients in my own practice, there are a lot of struggles with like the intuitive eating principles. And I don't want to like shit on intuitive eating because I do
No.
think that it's like a needed framework, but I do think that we need to like acknowledge the shortcomings and like the issues that arise, especially like you said with anorexia recovery. Like that's not something where you can just be like, oh, I'm hungry, because those people don't have those cues anymore,
Yes,
right? So, yeah.
exactly that. Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. I do think that's an important topic of conversation. And I just feel like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, yeah, that doesn't like something just doesn't sit right there. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of like my own personal indulgence there. So I'd love to hear from you. Like, how do you help your clients, specifically on the part about body love? Because I think that that is like, people can make peace with food and people can like feel better about the food part of things. And then
Yes.
I kind of think they get to a place where they're starting to struggle more with the body image and the body neutrality and whatever it is. Like what's your opinion on that? And what's your I guess, how do you help people with that?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so true. The food part comes quite quickly and quite easily because you're working with your biology. You can trust your body. Your body knows what's up. You can just like surrender to that. And when you've got out of your own way, and that's what I help you to do, you can surrender into that. So it's natural to eat with intuition. And the hardest part is the rewiring of the neural pathways in your brain linked to fear of fatness, linked to body image, linked to how you perceive yourself. So you absolutely can and will be able to be in body love and body acceptance. It can just take a bit longer because you have to rewire your physical brain. And so we first of all have to look at weight gain. When someone enters a food freedom journey, they may or may not gain weight. It depends. So depends on where they're at. If they're chronic binge eating, they might be above their natural set point weight. If they're under eating and purging, they might be below. Obviously, the anorexia, the goal is weight gain. And that can be very scary. I know for me, it was what stopped me from reaching out for help for so long because being thin or toned or lean or whatever word it was at the time was so important to me, more than the effect it was having on my life, if I'm being honest, which is why I stayed where I stayed for so long. But I got to a point where when I was 30, where I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Number one, I physically actually can't diet. It's like I've lost my ability to diet forever. And then I was hated myself for that because I used to be so good at restriction. And number two, I'm not happy. I'm scared of my own thoughts and I can't live like this. So someone needs to be ready to let that go. I wish for everybody that they don't have to get to rock bottom in order for them to make a change, in order for them to choose something better for themselves. I had to get to rock bottom until I was ready, and that's okay. Everyone's different, but there is light at the end of the tunnel when you gain weight. And again, you may not, you may stay the same, everyone's different. it's not as bad as you think, because you rewire your whole mind. You're no longer fearful of weight gain. And there's a shit ton of body image work in my programs for this reason. You cannot live in food freedom unless you work on your body image. And so we start off with, what does fatness and weight gain even mean to the person? I mean, yes, it's kind of obvious. We have societal conditioning. A lot of my clients have trauma, like very, very influential people around them that have been dieting for many years. So there's some obvious things, but then when you sit down with pen and paper and write down the answer to the question, how would my life be different if I gained weight? They wouldn't be much different. It's mainly in your mind and the fear of not liking the way you look. And I navigate that with my clients. We have to start off with acceptance. You can't jump from body hate and wanting to lose weight for like 20 plus years, or being in anorexia for 40 years, and then just straight to body love overnight. Mm-hmm. It's a process, but we start off with acceptance, neutrality. Then we move on to appreciation, gratitude, and like embodying your body and being in your body, experiencing life through your body. And that kind of everything changes when you realize that you've been living your life looking at your body from the outside in, objectifying yourself, because we do it to other people as well, because we're conditioned to do this. But when you start being in your body like you were when you were a child, things start to shift, and then you can move on to unconditional love, and then body positivity and body love with the way you look can come as well. But it's definitely a process, and everyone has different layers of traumas to let go of. And I'll stop there because I could just talk forever about this stuff.
No, I love it. It's great. I feel like you really like know what you're talking about, and you like are very passionate. And yeah, I do think that it's important to note that a lot of people have that, whether it's family trauma or like friends in their life who have influenced them. There can be like racial components or like societal, like medical stigma, things like that, right, as well, that have been very influential for people. So I think like you said, it's not just like oh well, I just love my body now, like I've done it. It takes that unpacking, and that like it's going to take time, right? And I think it's great to start with the acceptance piece. And I really like what you said about like being in your body like when you were a child. That's a really good, I think, visual for me at least. Like I think that makes sense. And I know like I'm just like, I don't typically help people a ton with body image because it feels hard to me. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you know what's up. Yeah, because it's so like different for everybody, and it's so like, I don't know, like it's so hard, I think.
It's hard. There's so many layers to it. In all honesty, we all have the same societal stigma and conditioning, but there's so many layers. And if you think of, I mean, God, there's so many stories I could tell you. I'll tell you one of my own stories, which I can share because it's my personal one, and I might have shared this on a podcast before. It is very personal, but when I was, how old would I have been? 17? No, I would have been. It was after the anorexia, 22, around that age. I was having sex with someone, and then they commented, "Oh, if you lost about a stone and a half, you'd be the leanest girl that I would ever have been with." And so comments like that in intimate circumstances, when you're being vulnerable and open to someone, and obviously you're physically naked as well as emotionally open, to have a judgment thrown at you in those times. I mean, again, because of the way I saw my body and it was never good enough, I took that really hard. For someone now, I would think, well, he's lucky enough to be in this room with me, then he needs to get over himself. But at the time, I didn't have the self-love and self-confidence I have now. So when you're in vulnerable situations and people are commenting on you in a negative way, it can have such a deep wounding, whether that's from your parents, right? It doesn't have to be trauma with a capital T, like ridiculed in front of thousands of people naked, like on a movie. There's so many like wounds that we get over our lifetime. And then we wonder why we don't look in the mirror and say we love ourselves and we accept who we are. Society doesn't want us to do that, because then we won't spend money trying to fix ourselves, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. That is personal. I appreciate you sharing that with us because yeah, that is hard, and I feel like, like you said, once you've healed, it's easy to be like, oh well, fuck you, like, you
Yeah.
know. But in the moment, like, and if you are struggling at all, like, it's like, oh well, that's no good, right? Like, wow, yeah, that is, and I
And
think
then I
people,
linked that. Sorry
yeah,
to, yeah, I linked that because it was so intimate. I linked that to, in order to be desired,
hmm
I needed to be even smaller. Of course, that wasn't true. And it was like one person's perspective of me. But because the wound was like open and there's all salt going in there, it's
hmm
just another, oh my God, now to be sexually desired, I have to be smaller.
hmm
And you can start to see if someone looks back over their timeline of their life, all the times that someone said something and you felt a certain way. No wonder we feel the way we feel, but we can change that. Absolutely. All of it. We can change it.
Yeah, totally. And I think like the worse you feel inside or the more hyper fixated that you become on like food and body and stuff like that, the more that things that people say affect you, right? I think back to even to like sitting with people at lunch and them commenting like a small thing about like what they're eating or what I was eating and I was like, "Oh my goodness." But like nobody really cared. It was just that I was like so hyper fixated on food already that like that comment just like made me spiral into these crazy thoughts, right? At the time, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
true.
Okay, so one of the questions too I wanted to ask you, and I just like I find this a great topic to talk about because I think about it a lot, is how do we reconcile the desire to lose weight and be in a smaller body with the desire to achieve food freedom? Because I think that you kind of have to do, like I said, the food part first in a lot of cases, and then you end up like working on the body image. But like, how do we kind of reconcile the two? I think that's where people get really, really stuck.
Yes, there's a great podcast, and I have this in my program, and you can access this part, what I'm going to talk about, in the free part of my program. It's called the taste test on my website. So you can access this anywhere, but it's easier to go there because I have the worksheet ready for you after. There's a great episode, podcast episode, Sonia Marie Taylor, who is the author of Your Body Is Not an Apology, and Brene Brown, who is just an all-round legend, if you ask me. They did a podcast together called The Ladder, and they talk about the ladder of society, the ladder of success, achieving body goals, achieving financial goals, all of that. And then they had a really deep conversation around where the ladder was from, why we're trying to get on it, why we're trying to climb up it. And then the question kind of became, do you want to get off the fucking ladder, or do you just want to keep going and keep going? And then I created a worksheet from that podcast that really helped me. And it's a worksheet that's laid out, and it's like, right, let's be real. Being thin or having a small body in society gives you social privilege. It's like having social capital. So of course we want that, which is why we strive for it. So let's not pretend that we don't desire that. I've said in my podcast before, if a magic fairy came to me now and said, would you like to have your body when you were doing fitness modeling back with no consequences? You would have the same mindset you had now. Well, yes, please. Not that I want it and I would strive for it, and I'm totally fine with where I am and I deeply love and accept myself. But it's like someone saying to you, Devin, would you like $1 million? Well, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. And so it's a case of addressing that and being honest with ourselves and being like, right, okay, I've desired thinness or I've desired this ideal body for so long. Number one, how has that been going for me? Have I actually achieved the body that I've been chasing for 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 40 years? And if so, how long have I managed to maintain it? How is my relationship with food? Why am I even listening to this podcast? Probably because you need support in this area. And so it's a case of getting so radically honest with yourself and where you're at, acknowledging your desires and being like, it's okay that I've desired that. It's okay that I desire that. But what next? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening to this, you're not happy, or perhaps you're a professional, but either way, the majority of the listeners will be needing support in this area. And so you're here for a reason. And the reason, I believe, is to step into a new chapter of your life, to stop wasting your time, energy, money, stress, worry on what you look like, how small you can get, what you're eating for breakfast when you're eating tea the night before. Like, have you had enough? And when you get full clarity and you're like, oh my God, I've had enough, but what now? That's
Mhm.
when we can get to work, because yes, it's scary. You don't know if you're going to gain weight or not. And that's why body image work alongside food freedom is so important. But you can have it all. Like, I honestly thought when I started this work, Devin, I was like, right, well, okay, I can't diet anyway. Like I said, I literally have physically lost the ability to, I can't diet for an hour. I'm not exaggerating. Like, the last diet I went on, I lasted an hour, went to the shop, got binge food, watched myself doing it. I was fully conscious of it. And then I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? So, number one, I couldn't do it anyway. And number two, like I said, it was completely ruining my life. So when I'd got to that stage, I thought, okay, well, at least if I live in food freedom, at least I would rather live in food freedom and hate my body. I'll just have to deal with that. But actually, that's not the case. You live in food freedom, you do the body image work, you rewire your physical brain, you're no longer fearful of weight gain. You can actually love and accept your body and live in food freedom. You just don't know what you don't know yet. And so you need support to get there. And so at the beginning, to kind of wrap this in a bow now to answer your question, Devin, it's a case of at this moment when you start, have you had enough of what you've been doing for however many years? And are you ready for something new that will completely change your life? You've got to be ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I do think that's really important to say, because I think that most likely a lot of people who are listening to the podcast right now, or who like follow either of us on Instagram or whatever, are kind of in this like curious about what it would be like stage, right? Maybe they're not at the stage of like, well, I'm sick of this, like maybe it hasn't gotten that bad yet, right? But I feel like it's important to say, like, it doesn't have to get that bad before
No.
you seek healing. Like, you deserve better, right? And so I do like that you said that, though, because it doesn't have to reach a stage of rock bottom, and everybody's different, but like, isn't it better to start this before you end up in like a full-blown eating disorder, or maybe, or before your health is
Yes.
at stake, or so I think that's really important, and I think you have a lot of great wisdom to share on that. And yeah, I'm gonna check out that podcast episode, because I love Sonia Renee Taylor, and I love her book too. I recommend it to all my clients and everything as well. So yeah,
Yes,
I'm gonna check that out. Thank you for that recommendation.
of course. I've noticed how dark it is in my room, and apologies to the YouTube watchers, but I don't have I have my plug-in light, but the end has no end to get in my laptop. So
Oh,
you might see me getting darker as the night goes on. So apologies for the low quality video.
no, that's all right. My light is weird today. I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of like in the corner here. It's like dark and like kind of cloudy out this morning. So it's kind of yeah, that's all right. That's okay. People can deal with it. They can
They can still hear me. They can still see me, just not very well. It's all
that's
good.
right. They can still see our lovely faces. So
Exactly.
awesome. So, what else should we talk about here? I did kind of want to talk a little bit about, because I had seen this on your Instagram, like what the difference is between body acceptance and body confidence. And maybe we kind of touched on that a little bit already, but like, what do you think? Because I think people think like, oh, just gonna be confident immediately, like um I don't know. I guess we kind of talked about that already, but I just want to like maybe tie it up a little bit neater, and like how they can end up at confidence versus like just acceptance, because I think you've got to start with acceptance, but like then what?
Yeah, you can absolutely go to body confidence. I mean, some people love or hate the saying fake it till you make it. I prefer the saying act as if, because if you start acting like a person who is confident, you will then be a confident person. You've just got to go through the uncomfortableness. Everything happens outside your comfort zone, any kind of growth. We all know this. If you act like you're a confident person, you'll be outside your comfort zone. You will feel uncomfortable. That's the point. you will realize that you don't combust into flames if you go out in a dress that you don't think your quote body is ready for, and you have a good time. You will start to gain evidence that, wait, I can act confident, and therefore you'll have moments of feeling confident. And then before you know it, you will be confident, and it has nothing to do with body size. Similar with sexuality and being intimate. Sexy isn't a body size or a body type. Sexy is an essence, this is my opinion, is like a vibe. It's like a feeling that comes from the inside out. It's not a size of a body. And so if you can act as if you're a sexy person, and there's some groundwork to do for yourself, and this is the same with confidence, even speaking on podcasts or wearing certain things, it's acting as if to begin with, but you have to have the foundation of self-acceptance in order to be able to act as if. Otherwise you'll probably re-traumatize yourself, and we attract what we believe about ourselves, right? So if we constantly believe people, places, and things are going to point how ugly or how hideous we are, then they will. So you need a bit of groundwork. But from that, if you take aligned action and act as if, the confidence comes so quickly. And the good thing about confidence is other people notice it. It's your energy. Have you ever seen a woman in a large body, let's say, that's not in society's ideal, be so fucking confident, you're in awe, even though you wouldn't want her body? Let's be honest there, like, we still have judgments. Even if you were like, wow, I'm so envious of her confidence, even though like her body's bigger than mine. It's the confidence, the energy that we're attracted to. It's not the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's totally true. And I think I kind of like that mindset shift of confidence being an action or a behavior almost, instead of just like a permanent state of being, because I think that it's easier then to achieve, right?
Definitely. And then you get into the competence confident loop. You have to, your brain always is referencing back. So with like psychology, your brain's always looking for evidence or proof or something similar before it moves forward into something. That's just how the brain works. So if you have no evidence or proof that you can do this thing and stay safe and still be alive, because that's how the brain thinks as well, then you need to create these things, and it'll be so uncomfortable and fearful. But once you've created one thing, you have that as evidence, and you create another thing, and it just gets easier the more experiences you have where you act as if you're confident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that like positive reinforcement almost of the confidence aspect. And I think that's a really tangible way to put it, because I think people can like hear this episode and just like take action on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take action as if you're confident.
Yeah. Awesome.
See how
I
it
love
feels.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. Cool. So let's just shift a little bit back here to this idea. And you put this question in your question sheet, which I think was really good because I didn't think about it. But where does health come in? How can we reconcile? And I think this is like the biggest question that people have with like anything, you know, food freedom or listening to your body or, you know, letting go of dieting in general. How do we reconcile the idea of being healthy? Because, you know, and it's so interesting. Like, I always think, okay, the like era of dieting is over. Like, we're past this. Like, you must eat whatever and you must not eat whatever. Like, I always think that we're past this. And then I go on TikTok and we are so not past it. And we are
Yeah.
so like, I don't know. I try not to browse too much on TikTok because I think that it's just like a pit of like crazy dieting things. And I think I just get recommended those videos because like I share nutrition stuff on TikTok, but
Yeah.
like I feel for the people who are like growing up in that. And I think that it's still really hard to navigate. And I think that there's still a lot of question around how can we still be healthy and listen to our body when it feels like our body just wants the quote unhealthy foods or the like to not exercise or whatever it is. Do you have any advice around that?
Do. I have so much advice around that, and I'm wondering where to start. So, first of all, I mean, this isn't a question directed at you, Devin. It's just a general question that I want people to just sit and ponder. How are we defining health for a start? Because health isn't thinness. Health isn't cutting out carbs. Like, they're like wrapped up in a bow of health, and they're actually diet. So just to be asked, curious with yourself, how am I defining health? I define health mental, physical and emotional. And let's talk about physical specifically now, because that's what most people will be thinking. Like, well, how the hell can I eat what I want when I want? What about health and sugar and all of that? And again, I have so much to say. When we get out of our own way and we tune into our body and stop trying to shut down ourselves, should do this, shouldn't do that, your body, again, knows what's up. Your body wants to feel good. You have an intuition, a sense, a feeling for a reason. Just like when you need to pee, your body tells you it needs to pee. So then off you go to the toilet, or you hold it for a bit and then you go. When you're tired, your body will let you know. And then hopefully not many of us, but I do go to bed when you're tired, etc. So why is eating and what we choose and what we crave any different? And yes, there's such thing as foods that are produced in laboratories and they make it as addictive as possible. And that's another thing that we can definitely go into. But all in all, if you just get out of your own way, allow all foods, when you allow and give yourself permission with variety, meaning if you work in a chocolate shop and have no access to any food apart from chocolate and you're hungry, well, of course you're going to eat chocolate. Is it good to eat chocolate all day, every day? No, but your body won't want that if, number one, you stop restricting and allow all foods. Number two, you have a choice. I'm not saying everyone's a millionaire and can have like thousands of different food varieties in their house, but bread, vegetables, cheese, like different things to eat. Then you create a space for choice. When you are in a compulsive reaction, which is the reaction to restriction, like a compulsion to binge or to emotional eat, you haven't got a choice in that moment because you're reacting, not responding. When you give yourself the space, and you will only give yourself the space when you allow and give yourself full permission with variety, you can then make a choice. And I guarantee you, I've not met a single person yet, no matter how quote fucked up they think they are with food, come to me who hasn't sent me a message, and sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's a month, and they're like, Victoria, it's happened. I'm craving vegetables. You said I would, and I wondered when it would happen. And I'm like, look, your body, again, is so wise. She will let you know what she wants. And the more you stop trying to eat sugar, you're going to want more sugar. It sounds so counterintuitive. And trust me, the amount of times I've tried to not eat sugar, I've ended up binging on it and eating more of it anyway. So at the beginning, you will have, like I call a honeymoon period, where you will eat a lot of your trigger foods, a lot of your binge foods, and just allow that. That's why support's really important, because literally thought I'd hired a coach to pay her thousands to get told it was just okay to binge eat, and I was fuming. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm paying this woman, and she's like being like, it's okay, just feel your feelings and allow the chocolate. And I was like absolutely fuming that I'd paid that money and I was still binging. I didn't understand what mental restriction was at that point. Now I do, and I teach this. And I'm going to end this with like a quote, and then you can obviously feel free to ask questions, Devin. When I stopped making salad and vegetables and exercise feel like punishment, I started to crave them and do them and eat them when I got out of my own way.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally agree. I think it's crazy when you like make that switch and you're like, wow, I actually feel like eating a salad. Wild that was like a food that I was forcing on myself for so long. So yeah, I think that is like really hard for people, I think, especially if you have been in restriction for so long. You're like, no, that's never going to happen to me. And I honestly think that a lot of this is perpetuated by like the diet culture myth that like people always say, well, if you just don't eat junk food anymore, then you're not even going to crave it. And that just like is such like I don't know who is making these things up. I don't know. But
and we also like just take note that we live in the 21st century. We have shops down the road. We don't live in fucking caves with like, so let's also be real here. that may not have some truth to it. If you never touch processed food again, you won't crave it. Okay, well, have a nice life then in this world with never eating processed food ever again.
Mm-hmm.
No thanks.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's like one of my pet peeves because I think people don't even know what processed food means. But anyway, I think I could go on and
Yeah.
on. But yeah, no, I think that that's a really important thing to say is that you will crave vegetables again. If you stop restricting, you won't crave it so much. And I think like it's all about learning your body and listening to your body and also just making informed choices. I tell people like some of my clients struggle with binging as well, or, like allowing certain foods or not craving vegetables. And I say, like, well, if the binge is not emotionally driven and it's just like a physical thing, like do it, like allow it, but like how did you feel afterwards? If you don't want to feel sick again, then you're going to have to make a different choice, right? Or whatever, right? And so I think that is often motivating for people as well if the binge maybe isn't so much a mindset thing but as like a boredom eating, like then maybe you need to boredom eat something else that's not going to make you feel sick or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, it's about taking full responsibility without judging yourself and
Yeah.
basically shitting on yourself, saying, "Oh, you're such a failure." If you can be like for example, me and my fiance love to get ice cream from this place, and we always get a liter, and we just sit with one spoon, and he likes to be fed a bit like a child, which sounds weird, but we sit with one spoon, and I have some, and he has some, and we enjoy eating the whole liter together. The next day, I feel a bit shitty. Yes, I get spots under my chin from that thing. Yes. But you know what? It is so worth it. The
Mm-hmm.
time with my fiance watching a movie with the big thing of ice cream, it's worth it to me. I take
Mm-hmm.
responsibility for the consequences without making myself a bad person because I'm not. I've just chosen pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. When we start to change our relationship with pleasure, that is definitely intertwined with people with eating disorders. They have a distorted relationship to pleasure, any
Mm-hmm.
pleasure, and they feel bad and wrong and guilty for allowing it. So we were born for pleasure, especially as women.
Yeah. And I do, as you're saying that, I'm like, that was so me when I was going through disordered eating. And I feel like I still kind of struggle with that. And not so much relating to food, but just like in other ways of my life. I'm just like, oh, I struggle to have fun and like, relax and things like that. So I do think that it's something that takes a long time to work on. And I want to go back and just say, I love what you said about taking responsibility but not judging, because I think
Mm,
that that's a really good takeaway for people is like you can take responsibility for yourself. You don't have to be like, well, I'm absolved, because I think
yeah.
maybe that's part of intuitive eating that doesn't resonate with people a little bit, like in the framework they kind of and I don't think intuitive eating says this, but I think it's kind of like the maybe mainstream thought is like, well, you never have to be morally tied to food again. And, you just, but you kind of like, it's kind of our tendency a little bit because of our programming, I think, to tie morality to food and to judge ourselves. But also, I don't know. I guess I think that people, when they say, I'm not going to judge myself, that they like don't have any responsibility anymore with how they feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
That's
that doesn't make
interesting.
sense.
No, it
But
makes sense because in intuitive eating, the principles, it says as well with do not eat unless you're physically hungry. Don't basically it's saying in a roundabout way, do not eat emotionally.
Mhm.
And then what happens when we're like trying to sit on our hands when we all we want to do is have a tub of ice cream? Yes, we can call a friend. Yes, we can go on a walk. Let's add those in and offer those to us as an opportunity. But the second we say, can't have the ice cream, don't want to eat emotionally, that's bad. What the fuck do you think we're going to do? We're just going to end up binge eating. Emotional eating will then spiral into binge eating because they're two different things. This happened to me, and I used to eat for pleasure a lot just because I could. And that's also okay. But then when I was like, well, I can literally have whatever I want when I want, do I really want this? Or would it be better for me and more exciting to wait until a certain day at the weekend to have this as like, not a treat, because I'm not a dog, I don't need to earn my food, I can have it when I want, but to really enjoy it and to look forward to it, knowing I can have it whenever the hell I want to have it. That's why I say dieting is not an action, it's a state of mind. It's everything to do with how you think and feel towards what you eat, not necessarily what you do eat or don't eat.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, I think that's like what you were saying there. It kind of like gets a little bit tricky for people when they're trying to follow the framework, and it can
Yeah.
lead to both judgment and a rejection of the responsibility in some ways. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm just like processing this as we talk about it. So it's not a fully formed thought yet, but I do think that there's a lot of maybe messaging around like, well, nothing is ever your fault. And that might be true. We don't need to like think that we're a moral failure, but like you also have to take responsibility for how you feel.
Yeah, it's a lot of us live in learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not
Yeah.
to live in learned helplessness is basically saying, I am disempowered. That is so far from who we really are. I mean, this is getting, I guess, a bit spiritual now, but we are so powerful, each and every one of us. To say that we're disempowered is the opposite of who we are. We are so powerful. If we take full responsibility for our lives, not even with food, with everything, for the trauma, if you were raped, sexually abused as a child, this sounds harsh and you need to go through the right trauma treatment, but to take full responsibility for what happened, not blame, there is a difference. Responsibility, not blame, and then move forward with your life. That's when you feel how goddamn powerful you are and anything is possible, especially making a choice around, shall I eat the ice cream or not? Is it worth it or not? With no judgment, you can take responsibility and make a choice. You're a grown-ass adult, but we need to get there. If you try to do that from the start, it will go into should and shouldn't, and then you'll end up in the cycle of failure, success, and you kind of need to get to that place of safety within who you are first.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, sorry, we could talk about this all day. I just feel like I am not that knowledgeable about like personal empowerment or things of that nature, but yeah, I do think that there can be a tendency in the anti-diet space to tell people that they are helpless, and then they just feel helpless and
Yeah,
like nothing could ever be their problem again. I guess, I don't know, but it is your problem if you're living with it. So I think that we need to strike a
yes,
balance between like, yes, you have had bad things happen or people who have been mean to you or whatever, but you also like can take your power back, I guess, is maybe a more power
100%. That's
positive way.
all you can do.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're just living in victim mentality, and good luck with that. Trust me, I've been there. I say all these things because I have been there. I'm only 35, but I swear I'm like 105 or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of age, this is the last question that I ask every single guest, which is what would you tell your 18-year-old self about health or wellness or life or anything at all?
Oh, what would I tell my 18-year-old self? When I was 18, I was just before I went into the abusive relationship, I was just kind of recovering from anorexia. You know what I would say? I would say to her, I love you. And I wouldn't say anything else because I had to go through
Mhm.
everything I've been through to be who I am today. And so if you'd asked me this question 4 years ago, I would have said, oh, don't go to the relationship, stop restricting. I would have given advice and I would have tried to like steer her on a different path so she avoided a lot of pain and suffering. I wouldn't now. This sounds so crazy, but I would want her to go through the suffering, what she went through, because I get to be who I am today because of that version of me making those choices. So I would just say, I love you, because she needed to hear that for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you so very much for being here with us today. This has been a really great interview. I feel like we touched on a lot of things. That's kind of just my nature. I feel like my interviews always just go all over and I'm always like, "Ooh, but what about this?" And so I'm sorry that you had to be a victim of that.
It was a roller coaster ride, and I loved every minute of it. Sorry that my camera is so low quality. Oh dear. Oh well.
No, you're totally fine. We'll try to clean it up a bit for the YouTube
Yes,
people.
please.
Where can people find you? Where can they connect with you and learn more?
Absolutely. So Victoria Kleinsman, it's a Dutch name. So it's not I before E, it's the other way around. So it's EI, but I'm sure Devin will link everything below. So victoriakleinsman.com, Victoria Kleinsman on Facebook. Instagram is Victoria Kleinsman official, because unfortunately my original one got hacked and I had to start all over again. TikTok, I'm new to TikTok, Victoria Kleinsman. If you go on my website, there's a free taste test that I was telling you about. And honestly, it's so much value for free. There's like, I think it was 5 modules of my paid program and a free support group. I also have my podcast, the Body Love Binge, and I work with clients in a group capacity and one-on-one as well. Everything's on my website, so just head there.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely link all of that below, both in YouTube and the podcast show notes as well, so people can find you and connect with you and listen to your podcast as well. Thanks so much for being here with us today. And do you have anything else you want to leave people with?
I love them all. Thank you for listening, and believe in yourself. Don't be the person that I used to be, sitting there thinking, yeah, well, she can, but I'm too fucked up, or I can't because I've not got her confidence. You can. I know you can, because I've worked with clients of all different personalities. You are not too fucked up. Trust me. If you want food freedom, you can literally live in food freedom. So just believe in yourself. Reach out to me, reach out to Devin, and just believe in yourself. What I have to say.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Victoria. And I will see everybody in the next episode. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye bye.